Have you had any where you're nervous around them? Like, were you nervous around Nicholson?
Oh yeah. I there's not many people that suck the oxygen out of a room like Jack. And even Sandler was, I think everyone was intimidated, but it was fascinating because you could hear a pin drop anytime he set foot on set.
Every time he said something, everyone was silent.
Oh yes. And
You know
and
what
that
I
was
think
cool.
would be funny, Pete? Is
Exactly.
if he says this, and then I turn around and I say, "Hey."
Very good. Very
Right?
good. Well, what was cool is that because his kids were young, they were fans of Sandler, and he wanted to play in Sandler's sandbox. And so he was kind of off balance and was respecting the process. And Sandler and myself, we were off balance because you have this legend on the set. So everyone was off balance, and that was cool. It felt like, I said this, when I saw them on the cover of Entertainment Weekly, I said, this is like a traffic accident. It's must see. I don't know how this movie's going to go, but everyone is going to want to at least see what happens, because putting these two guys together is insane.
Were there moments on set? Because I know Sandler's sort of like, let's do that. No, say this. Hey, Jack, say this. Try that. Throwing shit at him. Would that be sort of like both you guys would be kind of fucking with him? And
there was definitely that. I mean, there's definitely a familial, vibe on the set, and you kind of have to get in rhythm with that. And Jack, got, he got in sync with that. I do remember though, one day I come up to him and he's sitting in his chair and he's humming the theme song to SpongeBob. And I said, Jack, is that SpongeBob you're doing? He goes, it's the only show I can stand to watch with my kid. And I'm like, okay, all right, cool.
That's good.
So, then I would start to, learn as he was starting to calm down and get in a groove, learn his rhythms, but you don't get used to it. You still just.
Did he ever call you at home? Just like, hey, Pete, just seeing how you are. Did he ever do that?
No.
Never called you.
He didn't call to check in, but
you still have his number.
I do. We'd have writing sessions up at his house on Bad Boy Drive, and I remember he had just done a few years earlier Batman, where he played Joker, and made a lot of money, and there were his house is fairly modest. It's a ranch house on the top of the mountain. But there were all of these paintings, like an Aaron Brothers art mark, that are like on the floor, leaned up against each other because there's not enough room on the walls. And he went to the restroom, and I just leaned down and I kind of started thumbing through them, like you do at Aaron Brothers.
Yes.
And I'm looking through them, I'm going, that's Renoir, Picasso, Degas. They're all originals.
Millions of dollars
of art. And then there was this like gleaming, shining light coming from the corner of the room, and I'm like, what is that? And I went over, and of course it was like Oscars and Golden Globes all lined up like bottles of milk. You couldn't even see what each one is for because you'd have to move one out of the way to read what it was for. And I'm craning my neck. I didn't want to touch anything, thinking there's an alarm.
Right.
But no, that was pretty cool.
Did he seem like a happy guy?
At times, yeah.
Were there times you were like he was very moody, or didn't?
There were moods, there were definite moods, but again, it was a good time. I think he just turned 65, and I do remember one day the day that he turned 65, I sent him a box of cigars to his trailer, and then his assistant said, by the way, Jack hates his birthday. Do not send him any gifts. I went, oh boy, can you please get that package out of his trailer that I just sent?
No.
Yeah, but no, I think he enjoyed himself. I think he had a good time.
Did he ever give you any insight into his life, like any stories that he told you that he probably wouldn't tell anybody else? Just like, I brush my teeth at lunchtime or something. I don't know, whatever it is.
He did tell me a story about a fight he got into on the set of Chinatown, and that he and the director were screaming at each other and through a television set, something like that. I don't know. And I thought to myself, okay, I don't want to upset him to that point where we're throwing appliances at each other. But fortunately, we got along great, and his nickname for me was Keed, although he called a lot of people Keed, Keed. I don't
What
know.
does that mean?
It was like kid,
Oh,
but
hey, Keed.
hey Keed,
Huh.
and so I was called Keed.